You know, you guys at one time indicated this might not. It wasn't clear what you thought of this, but you see, it was during this. They've been talking about Santa Claus a lot on the news, like I mean on those commentary shows, and it's like important. Like there's a lot to say about like about they were saying like um, about the depiction of Santa Claus as white, and like for other from people from other ethnic groups, other races, like what with they had someone said they when they were young they asked about that, like that type of thing, like it's Santa Claus has been talked about a lot, and about all any number of things, and we made a video where like the sort of we I would just the thing that like your friend here is curious about is why Santa's from the North Pole, and we made a video that you actually seem to like about that. Like you seem like you approved of it, but we didn't. I mean, it's being that a lot of the discussion, like they've been talking about Santa Claus. I mean, it's a good. I mean, and there's a lot to talk about in a way. In a way, at Christmas about Santa and I mean, there is. I mean, in the spirit of the holiday, they're talking about different things with regard, and it's interesting. I mean, it's worth thinking about. But like I don't want to get I want to do what you guys want me to do, and there's some indication this is not correct. But I mean, is it a secret? Like, is it Did you? I didn't. This issue about it's not an issue. It's real though. Persons like me like wanting to. I mean, I might look it up before I say this, but this issue that that it's not an issue. I don't mean this. Something that persons like me that are not by choice. I shouldn't refer to myself, I guess. Well, the sort of enlightenment that came to a lot of Americans, that has come to a lot of Americans as a result of the internet, is that in Europe they have a much more like evolved civilization going on over there. I mean, they have their intellectual life, their universities, the history. I mean, there's a lot of their level of awareness and enlightenment in Europe is vastly like ahead of ours. It is, and so part of and we live and have been living. I mean, in an insulated society. Look at the behavior of people in our society. Chomsky says it's as though we live in a totalitarian society. Sometimes the way people are perceiving and the degree to which it's insulated from from knowing what's going on in the world in a real way. But going on in the world, not meaning like all the horrors or the things like that a lot of people don't want to they don't have a stomach for it or aren't ready to hear that. But no. Like just the sort of like enlightened, what the way in which people are enlightened in Europe. A lot of that stuff is new to people because of the internet, and what has come out, and it did create like a major sort of call it sort of intellectual subculture here, which has been with the fact that academics and what's called an intellectual is who's seen a glimpse of it is saying like there's something going on like in terms of the way in which we sort of think we know what's going on with the next generation of intellectuals, but no, like there's something going on that's like coming our way as far as the next generation and the kinds of intellectual subcultures developing. Like it's one academic said like, yeah, we should know that it's coming our way, and from our perspective as academics and such, it's profoundly strange to us. Like it's unfamiliar, and one of them is there's a long tradition. It goes back, I think, to the beginning of the century about the North Pole. About the North Pole, a variety of things. Part of which is like called the polar myth. Part of which has to do with beliefs about this time period towards 2012 and the Earth correcting its tilt on its axis. I mean, there's and all kinds of esoteric beliefs where the North Pole is like the central feature of the myth of the thought of the culture around that, and then and this matter of fact, and you see those in like Danish and Swedish, like all kinds of Scandinavian countries, like there's a whole intellectual subculture like discussing the proposition or whatever you would like to call it, like a that the Earth is hollow, like which is not necessarily meant to be taken literally, but like that it's all centered on the North Pole, the polar myth. So I'm curious to look into why Santa comes from the North Pole and whether or not that sort of figures into it at all. But like, it's a good time like to make people aware of this. But the one thing that like I don't know is it's supposed to be something we don't say, but can I say it to you? Because it had me. I mean, it really affected me. Like people who were like part of this. There's a part of being into this like. No, you don't want me to say that. Okay. There's a, there's also a Christian. Like it turns out, there's also a long, sort of European and also in parts of America, like a Christian dimension to the beliefs about the North Pole and what's inside what's in the hollow Earth. Put it that way. But like, does that not to share? Like what's in the what those beliefs perceive as inside the whole. But I'm saying that there's that part of it is not. It's not just some. It's not separate from like. No. There's a whole like Christian dimension to the some of the beliefs about it. The fact that one of the ways in which we found out like that educated people are ignorant in our country, like what way in which are they ignorant, is that actually they're hostile to intellectual subcultures that exist in enlightened places like Europe that to them are like unscientific. Like they don't understand things that are like esoteric or whatever, or that are very real and very serious, but are also like a way of imagining things. Like they don't understand that. Like they would think if you can't explain it to them, like that something about the ignorance of all like university culture and like the ignorance of like they don't want to hear about things. They don't. You just sort of give me a bad signal. They don't. Go try telling an academic that the earth is hollow, that the political kingdom of God is located on the inside, that the principal inhabitants are the lost tribes of Israel, that the two Scandinavian fishermen who found the hole at the pole and met the beings inside discovered they were the lost tribes of Israel. They were over 9 feet tall and said their God was named Jehovah. I'm going to say that. I mean, really, I don't need to be in pain because I thought maybe like you want. I don't know what you want from me.